Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. I am your host, CSD Fantasy. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole Podcast. My name is CSD Fantasy, and I am flanked by the one and only Nick Faber and the Coin Master, Matt, man of the people. He's a better person than me, Williams. How are y'all doing?
I love it. I want my nickname to be about 17 nicknames long by the time where the season's ready to start.
The Colossus of Clout. The Colossus of Clout? The Great Bambino. That wimpy deer?
Plus, what was this? You look like you were milking a cow. What was that?
Hey, speaking of milking a cow, shout out to my brother, 16, 17. God, I should probably know that age. Regardless, younger brother just got a job at a farm in mid-Michigan milking cows. So,
Okay.
First ever job. So, well done, Travis.
You know what they say, right? I just milked your cow, and we don't have a cow. We have a bull.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which,
It's so salty.
I don't know why this maybe because you posted it beforehand. You said, Nick, you ranked all of Jim Carrey's best movies and did not put Liar Liar in the top 5. Please tell me you forgot it existed.
No, I did not. And actually, it's because I just watched the movie Sonic, which Jim Carrey does a great job in. If you haven't seen the movie Sonic, I do recommend that movie. It's a family.
He actually is very good.
He is very good in that movie. It was quite awesome, actually. The last movie I saw with Jim Carrey was the documentary on Netflix, Andy and I believe, and I just wasn't the biggest fan. But no, Liar Liar actually it would be 7 on my list.
So what do you have top 5?
I'm all frozen. Oh, here we go. Top 5. Number 1 was Dumb and Dumber. I'm trying to go off the top of my head. Number 2 was Ace Ventura. Those are 1-2 staples. For me, I'm a big fan of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I put it 3 because I really do enjoy that movie itself. 4, I went with Truman Show. 5, I went with Cable Guy. 6, I would go with Me, Myself, and Irene. 7th, I would go with Liar Liar. I like Liar Liar, don't get me wrong. Fantastic movie. I'll watch it whenever it's on. I don't think it's top 5 for Jim Carrey. It can't beat out Cable Guy.
Dumb and Dumber's
1.
Dumb and Dumber is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for me. Like I've rewatched that movie more times than I dare to admit. We used to every LAN party growing up, we would have that on in the background, just repeatedly. Me and my cousin, we can do every line in the movie, start to finish. It's not even.
I'm never going to argue against Dumb and Dumber. I would put Ace Ventura first in a Jim Carrey list only because he is the movie, whereas Dumb and Dumber, it's kind of like a tag team. But I will never argue that they're 1 and 2. But I would have Cable Guy and Liar Liar. I freaking love Liar Liar. It's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
I do love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, though.
So you would knock out Truman Show?
I like that too, but yeah, I would probably not put. I probably would put Eternal Sunshine 6.
I have to move out
because
Ace Ventura.
I'm not going to watch that like 7 or 8 times in a row. Like if I'm sick, I'm not going to throw on Eternal Sunshine. I like them all though. I'm not going to bitch.
I'll have to throw out the one with animals. I have to throw out anything that have animals in it.
Well, then you can't vote then.
Yeah, like that's just if the movie's too animal centric.
Ace Ventura 2 almost can make it on the list with the spears. Ah,
and one thing we brought up that was The Mask, and The Mask was one of his.
I actually saw that so many times. I can't watch it anymore. But that's how much I loved it when I was little. I watched it so many times that I can't watch it now.
In the late 90s, that was the shit. That was great.
Oh yeah.
I would put it like 8, 9 in my rankings, unfortunately. But I love to be, sometimes I love to be that person who likes to throw a wrench in the plans. So The Mask is low for me. Liar Liar 7 for me. Yeah,
because you're the person to be like, the Clone Wars really, like Attack of the Clones really is a better movie than Empire.
If you think about it, that's a phenomenal movie. No,
like you've never seen Yoda with a lightsaber before. Oh, here you go.
Here, hot take. I liked every Star Wars movie ever made. They're all entertaining. Love them all.
That is the hottest of takes, actually. That is the hottest.
I have a list of the order I'd put them in, but I don't have a bad. I don't dislike any of them. I like them all in differing degrees, but I enjoy all of them.
Is it because 7, 8, and 9 was never created in your mind?
People say the prequels suck, and they're wrong. Because when you went and saw them in the theater, you were like, fanboying your ass off. I know everyone was. They were fun, all of them.
We were young kids. If we were 20 going to watch Phantom Menace, That would have been the worst thing ever ever seen. We'd have been like,
no. How did you feel after? So first time I watched the what is it even called? The Force Awakens. I was all on board. I was all on board after Force Awakens. I thought it was like, I'm like, this is what Star Wars needed. It's awesome. And then 8 and 9 came out, and I'm like, this is how you do me?
That throne room scene where Kylo and Rey were together fighting, that might be the single best scene in any of the movies.
Oh, that scene is fantastic.
That could be one of the best scenes. I'm not among the people that think it was artsy and good. That's actually one of the ones I liked the least. It was weird because it was all one scene and them just chasing away in a slow ship against the big. It was weird.
It has two really good scenes. The one with the Praetorian Guard. Fun name, by the way, but because that's like a Roman soldier, and then the Luke and Kylo fight scene, which is to me like I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, we're gonna see Luke fight. I was dying when
they shouldn't have allowed Rian Johnson to make the creative decisions he did to go so far away from what Abrams did in the first. Because then you brought up all this stuff like Benicio del Toro's character. He looks like he was coming back. He never did. They introduced that kid who could move the broom with his mind, and he never came back. And it's just
fast, Mom.
Yeah, the second movie ignored the first. The third ignored the second. It was just they should have let Abrams do all three or Johnson do all three. But either way, whatever they decided on, they were missing some stuff.
If you tuned in expecting fantasy football, it was actually fantasy. No, it is fantasy football.
Oh, I didn't read a football. This is fantasy rabbit hole. There's nothing about football in our logo.
We do have a great show here for you today, but feel free to interrupt at any point in the live chat if you're joining us live. We are here to serve. But before we get into today's show, I would like to remind you to hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Please share on social media. We're on Periscope now as well, on Twitter, to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and check out cstfantasy.com for even more content. And now, guys, how about a little news? How about a little news?
The news.
Welcome to the news.
I really wanted both of you to do that. That's why I'm like setting it up extra to like I'm really gonna have them do over the drop. And my first news item of the day, and probably my most favorite news item ever, is the fight between Michael Thomas and Devontae Parker. This is hilarious. Have y'all seen this? This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker is throwing some shade on Michael Thomas that it's more difficult, was it, to be guarded by Stephon Gilmore, if I'm not mistaken. And Michael Thomas like, yeah, but what are you going to do? And Devontae Parker said, well, if I have 100 and something targets, I would be amazing as well. And claiming that he's as good as Michael Thomas, and Thomas just going back. I miss this. I want more like intrigue and attacks between, like what was that? The Crabtree Aqib Talib fight with the chain. Mm-hmm. Like it's just good.
That was good football.
If you're a wide receiver and you don't believe in yourself to the point of talking shit about it constantly, you're not a good wide receiver. You need the swag. If you don't have it, you're not a star.
But Devontae Parker does not need to be. But I mean, so it's like Michael Thomas brought it, right? Michael Thomas started the original.
No. Parker started with voting against Thomas, and then Thomas was like, "Dude,
regardless, Parker does not need to be comparing himself to Michael Thomas. Like, come on.
Hey, do it, man. Do it. You got 2 in your pocket now. So it's time to put the chip on the shoulder. Go. Look at the gauntlet. You go to Tua. Look at the gauntlet I throw down. Give me 100 targets. Let's make some magic. Let's do it.
2023, we're going to start bringing in Tua. You don't even want to bring Tua this year.
Oh, but Fitzmagic can do it. Just chuck it downfield. Just chuck it, and hope Parker can come down with it. You do that 140 times next year, he's scoring 16 touchdowns. He scores just Fitzmagic just bombing it down the field. No regrets tattooed on his chest.
No regrets.
Not even one letter.
I do believe in Devontae Parker, but he's not Michael Thomas.
No, this was fun. I do agree with Carl. Give me more of this. I'm down with the Twitter arguments, but let's get them between like two people that can actually like battle instead of Devontae.
I do believe in Parker. Michael Thomas is in a very comfortable situation. I think if you send Parker to a comfortable situation, he could be a beast. Look what he did. We've been waiting for it. I think he could be a beast.
I don't think Devontae Parker sees anywhere near the amount of targets that Michael Thomas would see at any team. It does not matter what team you go to. And Michael Thomas, even you replace Michael Thomas with Devontae Parker, he is still not going to see the amount of targets that Michael Thomas does. Drew Brees would not trust him. My grandma wouldn't trust him to throw. Like, nobody's going to trust Devontae Parker except for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm not saying he would ever be Michael Thomas. I'm just saying that I think Parker could be really good. I think Parker is capable of being a guy that could talk shit to Michael Thomas. I don't think he's ever going to be at his level, but I think he deserves a little more credit than he's given. I think last year was kind of legit, and I think we'll see more of it this year. But he's not Michael Thomas. He's never going to be Michael Thomas.
But because Michael Thomas had a historical year. And I was just looking through. I did my fantasy snapshot video that I'm posting July with Michael Thomas yesterday, and I was looking through the numbers. I'm like, these seem low. And then I looked through his stats from last year. I'm like, yeah, it's because he probably won't have that again. So my algorithm is like, you're not having that 2 years in a row. It's not happening. Just lower his numbers.
Yeah, why is it wait until his 5th year to break out? Like, list off 3 of them that are successful after that. I'm just froze, but if you can still hear me, that is still successful after that initial 5th year that they broke out. Like,
it did happen. A lot of people, though, that break out that late, not that many people break out that late period, right?
Robert Woods?
At all. Robert Woods?
Yeah. Sammy Watkins. Did he ever actually break out?
No.
Has that ever happened yet?
Still waiting, baby. Still waiting.
Sammy is still a talent. He's still a talent.
Yeah.
I think Devontae Parker, especially with the return of Albert Wilson, who I still have faith in. Yeah, well, that would be Devontae Parker's best opportunity for anyone who isn't watching and listening. It says just put Jameis on the Dolphins, and we'll let Nick talk. But I still, no matter what, no, I don't want anything Devontae Parker, especially with the ADP he's going at now. People are blowing him up.
No, we need Devontae Parker on the Saints with Michael Thomas. There you go.
Emmanuel Sanders will do just fine. He's on comeback.
Are you trying to say that they're close? I think Parker's closer to Thomas than Sanders is to Parker.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
You guys,
100%. You just hate Devontae Parker. Now we've seen where all your opinion comes from.
Oh, Devontae Parker had one good year. You can't let that just excuse the 4 years of piss poor game.
But where is he being drafted though?
Well, I don't know.
You don't really have to pay. I don't think has enough helium to make him. I still think he's a huge value, right?
Sanders haven't had over 200 fantasy points in PPR in the last 3 years.
Someone look up fantasy football calculator. Goddamn, Mike Peters slow as hell. So if I look it up, I'm gonna cut out.
I think Sanders will be good for real NFL. I think he'll be unusable in fantasy this year.
Yes. Not unusable, but I think he's going to be good for
if you start him on a weekly basis, you will be hurting. How about that? He can be streamed. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So much. I disagree a lot. Unless Traquan Smith breaks out this year, it's like starting Ted Ginn. And now Ted Ginn wasn't great, but if you can catch Ted Ginn on that right game, it's awesome. So I'm not saying Emmanuel Sanders is a top 20 wide receiver or anything. And yes, if you're consistently starting him, you might have a problem, but that depends on where you're starting him. If you have a 2-flex league with 3 wide receivers or something like this, and he's ends up being a wide receiver.
All right, well, let's have a bet. It's very unlikely it even comes to fruition because there has to be health attached to this. Assuming everyone's reasonably healthy, let's say 14 plus games. I think that Parker will be closer in PPR points to Michael Thomas than he is to Emmanuel Sanders.
Agreed.
See, I don't
based on volume.
But didn't you just disagree with that?
I do disagree with it, but I don't like it's not something I'm going to sit here and stand on a hill about. I'm not going to sit here and die on it. I'm not going to sit here and bet on it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But my personal gut opinion tells me that Emmanuel Sanders is the second wide receiver in Drew Brees' offense. When they had no second wide receiver last year, we're going to start to see a lot more passes to Emmanuel Sanders, especially more deep balls, especially because Drew Brees can still sling it. I'm not saying he will be able to for 17 straight games, but for the first 14 games, he's going to be able to sling that ball to Emmanuel Sanders. I don't think Traquan Smith is really going to break out. Devontae Parker, I think, has a rookie quarterback, has Albert Wilson on the side of him, has Mike Gesicki, who's we're all like they're all not going to break out. Tua's not going to be that good. He's only going to throw 20 to 22 at most touchdowns. What's Parker really going to get? It's not going to be Fitzpatrick throwing to him. I have more trust than I think in a later ADP with Emmanuel Sanders than I do with Devontae Parker, but I don't know the ADP.
Dominate. What movie? Is it Back to the Future? Yes or no? I don't know why I pulled that out there. Why not?
No, yeah, you gotta check on that and make sure that Nate the Great dominate FF and see what movie he's checking out. Travis also said that he wanted us to keep going with ranking movies earlier in the episode, so I do appreciate that. What movie are you watching dominate? Oh, he's saying, and Parker's ADP is 76.
By the way, Nick, all I heard from you is that you're afraid to take the bet. That's all I heard.
And Sanders is 85.
I'll take the bet. I'll take the bet right now.
It's a trick bet because if Thomas is way ahead of Parker, it's probably to Sanders' detriment. If Sanders climbs up and takes targets away, he's probably taken away from Thomas, which allows Parker to catch Thomas.
Yeah,
so it's actually a very beneficial bet for me.
It's a win-win.
I guess I wasn't paying attention to when you said what the bet rules were. I was just assuming we're doing PPR, whoever scores the most points.
It's PPR points. I say Devontae Parker finishes closer to Michael Thomas than he does to Emmanuel Sanders.
Don't take this bet, Nick. It's a trap. It's a trap.
I don't want to do that bet. Let's just do who scores most points. Who scores most PPR points?
Devontae Parker.
Between Parker and Sanders?
Yep.
Yeah, Parker.
Okay. Can I have my money now?
I'll take this bet and I'll take it.
What?
And this is why I'm saying get the value right now with Emmanuel Sanders. Devontae Parker. Boys, you're putting so much into faith that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be starting this entire time. Devontae Parker has been absolutely nothing.
Sanders hasn't been that good. Sanders has not been that good.
Emmanuel Sanders has been all right.
Remember, he had that pretty bad injury late in his career. He did okay coming back, and then he kind of fizzled out. I don't know how much he's going to really be used.
And he was a top 20 wide receiver before he got injured last year. Emmanuel Sanders was a starter, right?
No. He finished. What did he finish? 33rd the year before. He hasn't had a 200-point year since 2016, and that's a long time ago in fantasy football.
Remember his quarterbacks? Brock Osweiler, Jimmy Garoppolo, Peyton Manning with a crap arm towards the end. Like when he had Peyton Manning with a good quarterback, or when he had Manning quarterback Peyton Manning, he was extremely successful.
Yeah, but that was back with young Emmanuel Sanders.
Not young Emmanuel. That was like prime Emmanuel Sanders. It wasn't young. It was mid-range.
Okay, prime Emmanuel Sanders. He's not prime Emmanuel Sanders no more.
No, but he's on a team that's going to benefit him successfully. Like this is going to be the perfect team where he's just going to be able to fly down the field. And it's not so much that I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to be like a top 20 wide receiver. I never once said that. What I'm telling you is that Devontae Parker is not going to be a top 30 wide receiver. And that's a bet I'll put on right now. And Emmanuel Sanders, I do think, finishes in that 25 to 30 range. So that's why I would say that I would go with Emmanuel Sanders over Devontae Parker any day of the week, especially 2 rounds later, easily.
Somebody that I've liked ever since he came in the league. I've liked both Emmanuel Sanders and I have never liked Devontae Parker until this moment because playing devil's advocate. But somebody
until Nick argues them, and then Carl goes to the other side every time.
I have to. That's why I said I need to be on so we're separate like this. I don't want to have you below me because I feel then I'm hitting like down. It has to be like
it should be you up top, Matt down low, and then way over here on the west side me. Because no matter what I do, I can't get your green.
Get this changed up.
Whatever that was.
Why are we?
You ever see the first Resident Evil movie where they had that room where the lasers turn into that waffle cut and cut that dude? And do you remember that?
Oh,
that's what you just did to us.
Is that how it felt?
Yeah.
But a player I do have liked ever since he came into the league is Devontae Freeman, and there's talk that he's going to sign with the Seattle Seahawks. What do y'all think would be the best spot for him to land for us to avoid him taking carries from backs we want to draft.
San Francisco. Don't want any of them.
Fox Broadcast Studio.
Where?
What?
What?
Broadcast Studio?
Fox Broadcast Studio is the perfect spot for Devonta Freeman.
He can go to Seattle. I don't want any of them either. I avoid it. If it's a nightmare, I don't touch it. There's a lot of running backs.
Chris Carson pretty much showed last year it was no nightmare.
No, but if he's going to be there and Penny's still going to be around, it's like, I'll go elsewhere. I'll go elsewhere.
Travis says CFL.
Yeah.
I'm not drafting Freeman no matter what, but
I'm not drafting him.
Hold on, where could he go where he'd actually care? There's the question. Miami?
Like care at Buffalo potentially.
Would we though? That would be like kind of the same thing.
Yeah. You might get some goal line carries.
I think not many. It'd be like, I don't know. I mean, like I'd like him in Miami. I'd like him in.
But Miami has Breida and Jordan Howard. I hate Jordan Howard, but Breida is fantastic when he's healthy.
Breida is very good when he's healthy.
When he's healthy, he's fantastic.
The main point here is Devonta Freeman's terrible, and he should retire.
Yeah, and if I was listening to the sports radio here in Atlanta, and they were like, if Freeman is not out of the league after 1 year, we're doing something wrong in Atlanta, and we need to look into everything we've done. If he's successful wherever he goes now, and he couldn't be successful in Atlanta, we're way off on what we think of our players, because then we just don't know. Freeman needs to be out of the league, and like I've been a fan of his, but it's time. It's time. It's 1 year, maybe 2 as a backup, a third string somewhere, but it's too much money for a veteran player like that.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I would rather have him than Darius Geis or Adrian Peterson or Bryce Love or whatever Redskin 16 running backs you want to throw out there. I'd rather have Devonta Freeman. I'd
rather have Geis, but I think Washington would be a great spot for him.
That's actually a really good spot.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably his best spot. I mean, for real life, that's probably his best spot.
Let's not overlook. I know they just added Keyshawn Vaughn, but we don't know what he's going to do. Tampa Bay is still. It would be pretty nice to have a pass-catching running back like Devonta Freeman to be able to go back there. Like if successful, and if Tom Brady can like get the defense back, he could be good in Tampa Bay. Like I don't know.
I just don't want him to go somewhere where he destroys somebody I want to draft. If that makes sense. If he goes to Seattle, I'm like, then you're ruining Chris Carson.
Right.
If he goes to San Francisco, I've been eyeing Mostert a little bit ever since Breida left, because the ADP for Mostert is low, and I do like his numbers.
Mostert is like, man, it's what, like, I don't know, Matt, you were like, I'm not getting any of these San Francisco running backs. What San Francisco running backs? Tevin Coleman has not made an impact since 1994.
They're gonna share the carries like they did all year, though. Like, remember when he came in last year, what we thought? You got to throw everything you think you know about the Niners, just throw it out the window. It's not going to be the same come the first game, come the fourth game, then come the 10th game. It's going to continue to change.
I mean, I agreed with that. Always stay on top of things, but I think to start the year, it's the Mostert show.
I do, but I think where you're going to probably have to pay for him, it probably ends up being a mistake in the end for value you're paying for him. I don't have a problem with him. I think he could definitely be great. I'd just rather go another direction. I'm risk averse in terms of running backs. They're already risky enough. I need to eliminate as many variables as humanly possible.
What's his ADP right now in PPR? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
I think in the 8th round.
Yeah, 8th round. That's
and he's not even on a team.
That's not risky. You
No,
know?
he's talking about Freeman. He was asking Mostert.
Mostert was. Give me 1 second. 5th last time I checked.
Oh, okay. That's actually a little bit higher. I did think his ADP was like 7th, 8th round right now, and I was like, dude. But if it's 5th round, that's a little risky.
But the 5th round has so little value with running backs.
Yeah, that's why you got to get your running backs before the 5th round.
Yeah, like we talked about last week, there's just so much value at the wide receiver position in the middle rounds, and not a lot after that.
I take Mostert as my 3rd running back.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, though. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have him over Marlon Mack, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers, Darius Geis, Arian Johnson, and we can just go down the list. Like, yeah.
I agree with that, but I don't want any of them.
I don't want any
That's the thing. I don't want any of these freaking people.
Gun to your head.
This is the avoid tier. Give me Philip Lindsay after all of them.
After the second round, I don't want a running back.
Yeah, I'm going to stack up on 2. If it keeps looking the way it's looking now, I'm going to stack up on 2 running backs real quick.
That's also why I don't have Michael Thomas and I'll have Devontae Parker, because that's the area I will be shopping for a wide receiver.
That's exactly right. Me too. Sanders and probably Devontae Parker. And I'll be like, all right, I may have lost the bet, but I won my fantasy league. That works out fine.
Just hope it's a close race to the end.
Yeah, as long as you win fantasy.
Yes. Yeah.
As long as you win in fantasy, everything is fine. Like that's how life is. But I want to move over to players that can win at life next year when we go over to our weekly topic.
Don't call it a comeback.
Weekly topic.
It's such when you all do that, it's such the sound drop just goes over and over and over again. Last comment from Travis though, CMC backup would be a decent spot for Devontae Freeman, and I think that he wouldn't steal carries.
Give me Bonifant all day, dude. They don't need Freeman.
The name is just fantastic for him. Our weekly topic, though, is bounce back players for 2020. And this is going to be an interesting one. Players that have either been injured or had a down year. Who do we believe will have a bounce back in 2020 and actually start producing? Not necessarily that they have to go from being a top 50 to all of a sudden being a top 5. But if they've been regularly scoring in the top 15, all of a sudden had a 30 year, are they coming back? And the first player that I want to get your opinion on that I've been eyeing a little bit, and I think he gets a lot of hate, which I understand to a certain degree, but I think he has really good passing patterns and has been a little bit underutilized in the passing game, and it's Derek Carr. I love what the Raiders have done in the offseason with Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards joining the receiving group. And I think it's a game changer for the Las Vegas Raiders, and especially for Derek Carr. Rookie wide receivers usually don't have the large of impact, but I can see this having a huge impact on Carr, not as much them coming in and being 100 reception wide receivers, but to the point where we can start seeing that Derek Carr that had both Crabtree and Amari Cooper in the top 20 in PPR. Because he's shown that he can have 2 wide receivers that high and start scoring a lot of fantasy points. I think he's going to have a bounce back year from his finish in 2019. That was just top 16. I think he's easily in the top 10 next year if he has everything going right for him. Matt, what do you think about that one?
I had a whole thread about him pre-2019 and how one of my bold takes were him being a top 10 quarterback last year. This was before the Antonio Brown incident, though. That obviously flushed that all down. Like you'd said, he had him a game, had the Raiders a game from the Super Bowl. Injuries took him out of it. People forget just how effective they were. Everyone points to his ADOT, his average depth of target, being so low. And it really has to do with the lack of talent he's had overall for his career. Last time he had good talent, a game from the Super Bowl. He doesn't need to have a superstar, but he has Nick obviously disagrees with this.
No, I don't. But they were never They were never in the AFC Championship with Derek Carr, or even that Derek Carr. They made it to the playoffs once, and then Connor Cook.
They were like the favorite for the Super Bowl in the AFC, and then they got decimated by injuries.
They didn't even have a bye week that year that Derek Carr got injured. Connor Cook,
believe they get it. They went to the AFC Championship game, did they not?
Thomas and the Titans or something like that. It was the battle.
Look it up. They definitely won a game even without them, and they were right there. People were favoring them to get to the Super Bowl.
I don't think you're right.
I'm looking it up.
I could be wrong. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Look it up. He would believe me. I think people forget they were playing their best ball at the end of that season, and people had them. People were picking them to go.
I'm not hearing that people weren't picking them to go, but that was the year they got into the first round. And Connor Cook played, and he lost in the first round.
Yeah, in the wild card against the Texans.
It's the Texans.
The Texans? Didn't they win that game?
They came in real hot, though.
Yeah, real hot.
I agree.
Before Carr got hurt.
I disagree with what he's saying. Actually, I was just about to agree, but I just wanted to make sure that we all knew that they did not get to the AFC. Derek Carr has never even
I misspoke. I just know they had a ton of hype behind them. Like they were one of those teams that like were playing the right ball at the right time, and everyone was on the hype train. And they were really, I mean, they were legit. So last time he had legitimate talent, they were really good. He has a lot of different people to throw to. So I'm on board. They're going to try to make some noise too on offense in their new stadium. I think it's and he's not going to get a lot of hype from too many other people. So he's one of those guys where some people will hype him, but his ADP will go nowhere. I like David Carr. Derek Carr.
David is a nice guy. He's a nice guy too.
Drinking before the show.
David just got sacked just 5 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, he did. I don't know. I don't know about what everyone's saying here. I like him. I do like Derek Carr. I think he has potential to be a top 20 quarterback. Carl, earlier you said that he has a good chance to be a top 10 quarterback. I think that might be a little bit of a bold stretch.
I think anybody has a good. I mean, getting to 10 is really that. I mean, it's.
But let's be all honest. Like he has 2 rookie wide receivers. It's going to take them a bit to break in. And I'm not saying they can't AJ Brown it up at the end and be extremely successful and make him a top 10 quarterback. You're right. I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I think Hunter Renfrow is the wide receiver you want to own right now. I think Hunter Renfrow is going to be extremely sneaky this year. You can get him with a flyer at the last pick in every draft you do. But I think Hunter Renfrow might be able to pay off. He started to come in big at the end of last year, gaining trust with Derek Carr. And with this offseason being in flux pretty much, it's going to be hard for these rookie wide receivers who normally in any kind of year, we'd all be saying, yes, I think everything you would be saying in any normal given year is correct. I think this year you need to take in the idea that they might not get that chemistry as well as they would have in years past. And I think we're going to rely more on the chemistry that has been built in last year or the last 2 years. And I think that's Hunter Renfrow. Derek Carr, I can see finishing as a top 20, but like there's so many quarterbacks I would rather have. He is the quarterback I will be waiting until the second or third week before I pick up, but I do think he can finish in the top 20.
I think the difference here when you say a guy can make it into the top 10 in quarterbacks is the difference between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5 is big at quarterback. The difference between 6 and 10 is not that big. The difference between 10 and 20, no points, daylight.
35.
And so then where you can get that 6 quarterback and Derek Carr ends up being a huge deal. So I think that's why I'm okay. This is more of a great argument to don't pay up at quarterback unless you're getting a surefire elite guy, because why bother picking up, I don't know what's a good example, Tom Brady at his helium. Like, don't do that. Wait and get Stafford or try to get a discounted guy much later in the draft, because there's really in the end not a huge difference between these guys.
Yep.
Yeah, because Carr is super cheap. He finished 16 last year, 30 points ish from the top 10. 30 points is nothing. He had 5 of his 7 games over 20 points in the second half of the season. So he started to gain momentum and get better in that offense, I feel, with some more talent.
If Tyrell Williams was healthy the whole year,
no,
where would he have been?
I was just his best pass catcher was Darren Waller, who was absolutely unheard of going into the fantasy football convention that we did in August. Darren Waller wasn't even on the radar for 95% of people. And he was
and even the people were on him. He was nothing more, and everyone can say they were on him. There was a lot of people, Matthew Berry and everything, and not poo-pooing your prediction. They named him, but no one was saying anything other than a late round flyer you were excited about. Yeah. No one was telling you to definitely get him. Right. Like he was a person of interest, kind of like the people who were on Mahomes that one year. It's like he was a person of interest. No one predicted MVP. So, I mean, he was on people's radar, but no one predicted this.
Quick little story. I know, but I'm going to jump in real quick. Patrick Mahomes story. I do a live draft with my dad and all his friends. I've been doing it. It's the first league I ever joined, 1999, when I was 8 years old, I guess, at the time. We do it still to this day. I took over as commissioner a while ago. One of the guys didn't show up Patrick Mahomes' rookie year, and we picked for him. And we were not, you're just basically, he needs a running back. Who's the top of the ESPN list that we're using? Him. Sounds good. Last pick of the draft, guy had I don't even remember what quarterback it was. Maybe it was Aaron Rodgers, someone who may be injury prone or something. We go, everyone else is drunk as a skunk. Nobody remembers anything about this. And everyone's just I'm just, hey, what do you need? The Lions kicker, the Packers kicker, whatever. Nobody's paying attention. Comes to this guy who's not here, and I'm just picking for him. At this point, we were asking. At this point, I just picked for him. I took him. I gave him Pat Mahomes. Fuck it, whatever. We'll just give him a backup quarterback. I thought that'd be the dumbest thing, but maybe even help me out a little bit. I'm not going to give him a running back or a wide receiver that might blow up. I'm gonna give him some backup quarterback. He'll drop some rookie quarterback, whatever. Or not his rookie year, his second year, I guess. I'm sorry, I did say his rookie year, his second year. Obviously, Pat Mahomes throws 50+ touchdowns. That guy wins the fantasy league, and I picked his team for him, and I was extremely happy and upset at the same time about it.
No, that is hilarious. That is super unlucky, and I don't know, it fits you. It's fit you to do something like that. Let me get the best fantasy player since Peyton Manning's Broncos season, and you just put him on somebody else's team.
He won't really be anything, really. Come on, he's a rookie. It's like Tua. That's why I don't want Devontae Parker. Tua's a rookie.
Final Derek Carr point. Who is the last quarterback being drafted right now? Derek Carr. So you can wait and wait and wait and wait and wait.
Is he really last?
He's 6, right? His last on fantasy calculator for 12 teams. But all honesty, this is not a guy you're drafting.
That's behind Tyrod Taylor?
God, I hope.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's being drafted.
Yeah,
I don't think he's drafted.
Okay. So there's all right. There's people not being drafted. Okay, I was wow, that's a lot of disrespect.
I'm Joe Burrow, Teddy Bridgewater, Jimmy Garoppolo. Those are some names that I would much easily take Derek Carr over.
Don't hate on TBW though. TB Dubs.
I hate all on TB Dubs. I'm the biggest TB Dub hater, except as a person.
Exactly 0 shares of Bridgewater.
I will have 0.
I'm gonna start a league with us, and I'm gonna pick him up, and it's gonna blow you out the water.
I want to talk about Matthew Stafford. I assume Nick was gonna bring him up though.
Yeah, we gotta talk Matthew Stafford. Who wants to jump on? Nick had a rant on Stafford for 10 minutes last week. We can easily do 10 minutes in this one if you want to start, Matt.
If you already talked about him,
we can't.
His first half, 20.8 fantasy points per game in the first half games. He was on pace to be QB4 before he went down. His second best yardage for his entire career. He has Galladay, Marvin Jones, Amendola, Hawkinson. Who the hell did they just draft? Cephas?
Quintez.
So, we're talking about top 10. We talked about it with Derek Carr. In all reality, Stafford probably has the same likelihood of becoming top 10 because of injury possibilities. But if he's healthy, he could be top 5. So, if you may need a backup plan, depending on how big your league is. You may want to maybe put another guy on your bench, depending on what the waiver wire looks like. But people forget, they're going to be, I don't know what they're going to be doing. Last year was a little more obvious. They're going to be throwing the ball. They obviously look like they're invested into running it a little more this year. So there is that, but maybe that helps Stafford if, he doesn't have his weight on his shoulders, but Stafford, he's got to be one of the better values at any position in the draft.
Nick, do you want to chime in, or are you totally against this? I'm seeing this Key and Peele sketch where they had Obama sitting and just saying stuff, and then the other people are we have to disagree with him, and I'm feeling that now. Wait, Matt is talking up Matthew Stafford. He's terrible. I hate him. That you have to go against Matt. Is that something you feel you're fighting against?
That's my nature. No matter what anyone else, no matter what I believe, if someone else says something, I just instinctively go to argue against them, regardless if I believe it or not. But Matthew Stafford was on pace for 5,000 yards. Come on. He's already hit 5,000 yards. We added one of the best pass-catching running backs in the entire draft, maybe the best running back in the entire draft, DeAndre Swift. We added Quintez Cephas. TJ Hawkinson joins his second year, and we all know that rookie tight ends are piss poor garbage. He finished 300 yards. That's great. That's what we expected out of him. 120 of them came out in the first game. But he's going to be better. The whole team's going to be better. They're going to be running the ball better. It's going to be unbelievable. They legitimately have a chance to have a top 5 offense. My bold prediction last year that he would finish top 3 quarterback. He was the 3rd best quarterback in the league. I think our defense is so bad. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I don't think Matt Patricia knows what he's doing when it comes to running the Lions defense. And I think our defense is going to be kind of piss poor, and it's going to be very similar to the Jameis Winston effect last year, except we're not going to see Matt Stafford throw 30 interceptions. So
there's a caveat to drafting Stafford. The only thing, I think I said it earlier, though, about the top 10 thing. We talked about what he could do. That's why you're drafting him late, because what he could do. Don't draft him early because what he could do. You don't want to believe in Stafford and pull him. You want to grab him where he's a value, because that's where the value is. So you got to be willing to let him slide. If someone else in your league is willing to overpay, that's on them. There are other quarterbacks. You gotta take him where he's going, maybe a round ahead. But other than that, you can't go too far ahead of that.
That's 100.
In 12 teams, you can. I'd say in the mock drafts that we've done, you can pick him up in the 13th. I think I've seen him earliest.
Like I said last week in our mock draft we did, I had Drew Brees with the last pick. My last pick was Drew Brees in the 14th round. And like Drew Brees, come on, he's got Michael Thomas and now Emmanuel Sanders. And I know we all know how I feel about Emmanuel. So like he could be extremely successful. If you're like at that point, Matt Stafford gets drafted a round early, grab Drew Brees. It'll be done.
I mean, I'm happy to take Stafford in the 13th. It's just in your draft, you have your list of players you want. As soon as the skill position players you're like, take your quarterback. That's your cue. You don't look at the quarterbacks available. Look at the skill guys. As soon as you're not happy, take your quarterback if there's one there you really want. Otherwise, continue to plug away at the skill guys.
Quickly though, at running back, it gets after round 3, and you're like,
yeah. Well, you do. You still got to grab some depth because you're going to freaking need it. I will say one thing, which I don't think I'll have any shares of Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be a tremendous value. People just look at what he did last year and people just forget Devontae wasn't there. Not only did he have no wide receivers besides Devontae, he didn't even have Devontae Adams. So for all the same reasons I said you shouldn't grab a guy like Tom Brady, you probably shouldn't even grab Aaron Rodgers for where he's going to go. But if he drops far enough in your draft, I would give him a look, especially in Superflex. I think he'll end up being a tremendous value for redraft Superflex.
Got him in the 14th earlier in a mock
draft.
Really? Yeah.
14th?
People do not like.
That's crazy.
I've seen him fall. I'm like, what is happening? I wasn't even planning.
If Devontae is healthy, he is top 10. I will bet any amount of money on it. He is top 10 if Devontae is healthy this year.
Oh yeah, I'm with
Devontae makes him a top 10 by himself.
No, I hate to be this guy, and I know it's like your team, Matt. And
this is a Devontae Adams argument. He can make almost anyone top 10. That's how good he is. Aaron Rodgers last year can literally be thrown out the window, and I'm saying I'm probably not drafting him, but the 14th,
it was insane. I sat there. I was expecting to pick up like Stafford or somebody, and I'm like, Aaron Rodgers? Oh well then. But we have a comment from the chat here from Not Analytics saying when you get to that point, it doesn't really matter what quarterback you take at one point because all of them are the same. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to say. That
yes and no, right? Because Nick was saying
a group.
He doesn't want to. He wouldn't reach for Stafford. He was happy to get Breeze in the last round. I'm saying if the pool dries up and you see Aaron Rodgers sitting there and the rest of them, you take Aaron Rodgers. But if you're looking at that group and you're like they're all the same, last pick whoever's left. Who cares?
Yeah.
So,
but if you have a guy you separate above them,
Nick, who do you have as a bounce back player for us? Do you have any
position or quarterback position? I mean,
you can go whatever position you want.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Before I do that, then first things first. Aaron Rodgers, I think he's gonna decline this year. We're gonna see a different Aaron Rodgers than we're used to.
Give me quarterback you have in front of him that I might disagree with.
Him shipped. I don't know. I don't have a list in front of me. Second thing, Matt, go tell me. Is it David Wright? Is it David Wright behind you?
Yes, it is.
So okay.
David Wright, dude. I can pick a baseball player anytime.
David Wright.
I'm gonna have to respectfully ask you to remove all Mets memorabilia.
That would be everything behind me.
We have a Mets ticket, a Mets ball. I can't see what's to the right of the Mets ball or to the left. I don't know what.
That's an All-Star game ticket. I got a ticket to the World Series. I got a picture of me and my dad. I got a brick that's actually in the ground at Citi Field.
Solid. Oh, is that what that post or what is that? What is that?
To the right of David Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says like Game 6 of the 1999 NLCS when Robin Ventura hit a grand slam single in the 15th inning. But again, we're in a football show.
Yeah, well, shout out to Matt getting something out there behind him, except for the closet door. Much respect to that, man. Doing well.
I'm gonna have much cooler stuff behind me. I got a framed Devontae Adams jersey that'll be going up behind me pretty soon.
Yeah. You said Devontae Adams, but I thought you were about to say Devontae Parker, and I was about to.
I'm gonna get one just for you, man.
How about we need to bring up Devontae Booker at some point because we have conversed quite a bit about Devontae Adams, Devontae Parker, Devontae Freeman. Where's Devontae Booker love? Come on, 4-string running back still for the Broncos? Maybe is he even on the team?
High school coach?
Maybe, probably, should be. Yeah. We're talking about bounce backs. Give me AJ Green in a bounce back season. This is the easiest bounce back there is. Like,
are you going to draft him where he's being taken?
I'll have a few shares of him. Yeah, I'll absolutely have a few shares of him.
I feel like you're not getting the discount I believe you should be getting for the risk that's there. That's the only problem. I would wish there was more baked in. I feel like I don't know if I'll have. I believe it because I agree with everything you're probably going to say. I feel like his discount's not big enough.
His discount was definitely not as big as it was last year. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's AJ Green. Like, his stats and his numbers speak for himself. We're all NFL fans. We want to be, what have you done for me lately? AJ Green didn't play last year. He should be down a little bit. He's going to the bottom of the 5th round, early 6th round. I will take a few shares of him. There'll be times where I take shares of Terry McLaurin or DJ Shark or Marquise Brown, guys that are going behind him. Over him. I'll never take any shares of Tyler Boyd. I am fully off the Tyler Boyd train. But I do think AJ Green steps up this year, comes back, can bounce back to be a top 15 wide receiver. I'm not going to call him a top 12. And I'm not going to predict he's a top 15, but I think he has the best chance. I think it's all going to be perfect for Joe Burrow and AJ Green, and these guys are just going to illuminate the skies.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I like someone as a bounce back for almost the same reasons. But you can get him for, I'm assuming, a hell of a lot cheaper, and that's T.Y. Hilton. Coming off an injury, forget about the 2-centimeter calf tear he had. He was being drugged down by quad tightness, but he still kicked ass in the very beginning of the year. Even with that, he was playing with it, and people were worried that he couldn't get it done without Andrew Luck. But in the beginning of the season, he looked great. And now they have Phillip Rivers, who we're not huge fans of, but he's an upgrade in terms of T.Y. Hilton. He had 7 straight seasons with 14 plus games played. I think that he'll get back to his normal target load, which is like triple digit targets. And, for where he's being taken, that's a wide receiver 1. And you're taking a risk on his health, but apparently he is fully healthy. Like I said, 7 seasons, 14 plus games. Anyone kind of tagging him as injury prone is just it's like a recency bias thing. Said he had a quad tightness and a calf tear, 2 separate things, and he's healthy now. So I think that the discount I want in AJ Green you can get with TY. He's obviously older, so there's risk there. But if depending on team construction, if you're willing to take a gamble, I think T.Y. Hilton is an interesting guy where I think the targets will be there for him because he's the obvious best wide receiver on that team ahead of Paris Campbell.
Can I jump in real quick? What would I
2 seconds, Nick, before you jump in? Travis says that he has AJ as a top 15 upside. And I just want to clarify one thing on the Phillip Rivers hate that I've done this entire offseason. And it's I dislike him as a fantasy player. I don't dislike his wide receivers as fantasy player. I think he can be very good for his wide receivers. I just don't think he's good for fantasy, if that take makes sense. Nick, the floor is yours.
There's a ton of things to talk about. First and foremost, T.Y. Hilton's going first pick in the 4th round. AJ Green's going 9th pick in the 5th round. The value is way better with AJ Green than T.Y.
What?
That's a fact.
No, we're ADP. That hasn't been the mocks I've done so far because I haven't looked at general ADP. Is that fantasy football calculator?
Yeah, in 12 teams.
That's something.
It's way too high, isn't it?
Yeah, in the what do you call it? The industry mocks I've done, AJ has been going significantly higher.
So at that point, if you can get
AJ, AJ's been going in front of TY almost universally. But again, that's just industry draft.
Like in the 4th?
I think that neither of them have gone in the 4th. I think that AJ's gone in the 5th and TY has slipped past him.
Okay, because Fantasy Football Calculator has TY in the 4th, early 4th, and AJ in the middle of late 5th.
late fifth, early sixth.
Yeah, and I think that's because I do agree with Nick. Based on that ADP, if we just assume that ADP for 2 seconds.
Although, I mean, I should
think
say that
AJ
ADP's got to be really flawed, right? How many redraft leagues have taken place? What are we looking at really with the ADP, right?
Yeah, because if you can get the guy who you get later is the value pick here, in my opinion. And it's like if they're at the same spot, I'm like, I'm gonna go with the guy I'm a little biased towards. I've always been a T.Y. Hilton fan. If I can get AJ around later, he's the better value for me then. Like, but if you switch that around, I'm gonna go Ty if he's around later.
It most definitely is, and this is when there's so many things flowing through my head right now. I want to talk first and foremost. For anyone listening, watching, or whatever, know who you play with. If you play with younger people, they're gonna want to draft the rookies and the younger kids before. But if you're drafting with like dad and older family relatives and stuff like that, they're going to want to draft Larry Fitzgerald and T.Y. Hill and guys that they know. You know what I mean? So just know who you're
That's
drafting.
a great name to throw out. That is the exact kind of name like people like family. Oh, Larry Fitzgerald right in the 3rd round. He's solid.
My dad would draft Aaron Rodgers every day.
So exactly. So just know who you're drafting. Second thing is the biggest thing for these two wide receivers is honestly, I won't be surprised if T.Y. Hill, and actually I would predict T.Y. Hill finishes above A.J. Green. For the 15th time in this episode, watch out for wide receivers with rookie quarterbacks. It's not successful ever. Like it's not successful. You can find your one and your two differences, but for the amount of rookie quarterbacks,
he's trying to think of one right now.
That's Bryant.
AJ Green, Tyler Boyd. Do not get the only reason why I don't mind AJ Green is because I assume Joe Burrow is going to Matthew Stafford to Calvin Johnson it with AJ Green and just throw the ball to AJ all day, every day. So I don't mind that. But then let's not even talk about rookie quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers, as much as y'all try to hate on him, I definitely don't mind him. He's definitely consistent. Top 10 quarterback every single year of his career, except for maybe one. Just like Matthew Stafford, by the way. If Phillip Rivers does one thing good, it is target Keenan Allen. And his new Keenan Allen is T.Y. Hilton. And if T.Y. Hilton ends the year with 150 targets, he's just going to be a top 7 wide receiver. Like, it's a fact.
Yeah.
So,
hey, in the chat, Travis, what do you disagree with, by the way? We'll continue talking. You said you disagree politely. Disagree about what?
Yeah, because I think the guy, like I said, the guy you get later is the more value. But like I said, if the ADP is the same, I'm going to go with Hilton because he has the quarterback we know is a certainty. And I do like him as a player. I've always been a fan. So what you said earlier was you basically called me old because I would go with T.Y. Hilton.
We're all old, brother.
No, but like I've gone with that philosophy when I run my projections and my algorithms. I look at the last 3 years and I adjust for some type of recency to get a better look. If somebody's having a huge decline or a huge upside, I adjust for that from the last year. But I account for the other 2 years as well to get some type of bigger sample size, and that usually gives you a little bit more of insight into players who's been in the league longer than rookies. It's super easy to get, like you said, hyped on these rookies like DeAndre Swift. He was so amazing in freaking Georgia. He's gonna go. He's a dog. He's gonna go and be amazing. But you can get better value by drafting freaking. I'm just gonna throw it like Carlos Hyde in the Houston Texans. Now he's not there, but from last year, that type of guy who's been in the league, we know what they can do.
Yeah.
And Travis is disagreeing with rookie quarterbacks giving a wide receiver upside.
Didn't we argue the opposite of that?
Yeah, that rookie quarterbacks don't give a wide receiver upside.
No.
I was looking at Des Bryant, 2016. He had 8 touchdowns with Dak, but he missed 3 games. Otherwise, he was decent.
That's pretty good. It's not. But before that, what was he? Top 3 for 3 years in a row. So
he was.
Year. It was a huge bust year.
But he was injured pretty much all of 2015. He was hurt.
Oh, okay.
And he missed the preseason of 2016 with 2 injuries and had another injury in 2016.
just saying. But
one more time, Nick. Say it again.
Missed the preseason once too, but he did all right. OBJ. Speaking of comeback players, let's get it back. We have 5 minutes to go. OBJ, is he a comeback player? Do we believe in him?
No.
Yes, 100%.
Not at all.
100%. I'm all.
You're gonna hold on. You're gonna have shares of him, or you think he's gonna bounce back with no shares on your team?
I'm getting shares.
Really? I can say I can believe in a comeback, but I will not be investing or putting my money where my mouth is. I know I will not have a single share.
He's in like what, 7th, 8th round right now?
It's crazy.
No, he's not.
He is.
He is not. Hold on. This ADP we can't even use anymore. This is bullshit ADP, everybody. It will not be in the 7th or 8th round. Come when you draft.
I saw him in the 5th.
Third round.
Yes,
he's in the third.
That makes sense.
I didn't see him, so I was scrolling through, and I was like, damn, he must be the 7th or 8th.
No.
I was gonna say, we can never bring the ADP up again if he was going to the 7th or 8th round.
No. I saw it. I've been seeing him in the 5th before. I saw it 2 weeks ago. He was in the 5th.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's where I want him. I'm not getting shares of him in the 3rd.
If he's in the 5th, I will take a shot.
Yeah, that's where I'm. Because him and Landry were like neck and neck when I was doing my floor rankings for wide receivers. And I'm like, holy crap, you can get OBJ in the 5th when he has better ceiling than Landry. They have the same floor. Baker can't be worse than he was last year. So you assume that OBJ is going to get some, and you're not paying the premium you used to pay for his name anymore if you get him in the 5th. Because before it was always an OBJ premium because he's OBJ. Now that's going down. It's the Browns aren't the hot boys anymore. People aren't hyping them up and bringing their ADP up like crazy. This is the year to draft him, in my opinion. Last year was terrible to get him. I had 0 shares this year. I'm going to wait to the 5th. I'm going to get OBJ. I'm going to ride that into the sunset.
Nobody cares about the Browns. So let's move this on. Juju Smith-Schuster, best bounce back wide receiver candidate. Is he the best bounce back? Does this guy get?
I'd rather not invest in him, but I'd rather invest in Ben.
Yeah, I'm all in on Ben, dude.
I want to take, I love him on a last ride MVP season. Like, go for it, fucking YOLO.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I honestly think it would be a win one for the Gipper type thing right now with Roethlisberger this year. I'm all in on the Steelers. I truly am. I think.
We got to. I want to fit in Darius guys before we finish this episode. Can we? All right. Torn ACL, horrible. Torn meniscus, horrible. Sprained MCL, horrible. These are all bad things, except when he was on the field and he was healthy. I mean, versus Carolina, week 15, 10 carries, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was on the field for 5 games. He looked great for all of them. I mean, he's in the back end of a rookie contract. Washington needs to squeeze every little bit out of them they can. They don't have anyone else that's worth putting on the field. He needs to prove he can play so he can get another contract. Who knows if he can stay healthy, but they have every incentive. Like, don't be worrying about the other core running backs on the team. They're not going anywhere, but they need him to perform. So even though it seems like he'd be a horrible idea or a candidate to be a workhorse, I think it's going to work out that way if he can stand. He has a whole offseason to try to get healthy again. I would not maybe want to fully invest across the board, diversify, but he's a sneaky guy I want to get a part of because if he's healthy, they're going to be running him into the ground this season. This could be his career year, and it could be the only good one he ever has maybe because of his knees. But if he can hold up for 1 year, Washington's going to try to squeeze every bit of talent they can out of him. And this may be the year. Get Darius Geis now. Don't get Darius Geis next year. But there's something here. Like, if he's healthy, he could have something in there, and you can get him just cheap enough where he's worth taking.
Just leave it to Matt to tell you to get someone in their 5th year to try to break out. You know,
hold on, no. He proved that he has the talent on the NFL field. He's proven he's just been hurt. I'm just saying, a lot of people worry about his knees and a timeshare. I don't think the timeshare will exist. I think they run him into the ground if they can.
Geis is to 2020 as Sammy Watkins was to 2019. You get him week 1, you draft him, even overdraft him. That's
I won't argue with that. If he gets off to a big start, I will obviously be trying to trade him.
Yeah. Yards, 2 touchdowns. People are literally flipping inside out. Their bones are on the outside. They just want them for everything and anything. You trade them.
I agree with that too. I do.
Is it the John Ross syndrome?
John Ross, yeah.
No, well, but the thing is, guys,
here you could have traded him for next 7 years first round draft pick because he had such a good hot start.
But he has the ability to come out of the gate as the RB1 for the first 3 weeks. He has it in him to do it.
He does.
He doesn't have the knees necessarily to hold up, but he has the talent.
Another good bounce back, Robert Woods, by the way. Shout out, I know we're getting towards the end of the show here. Robert Woods, I think, could have a good bounce back without Cooks there.
Yeah, I do like Woods. I think he's going to be fantastic. There's a lot of players that I can see bounce back. You know what's not bouncing back? This show, because it's always on top.
Always
Evan Engram, go get him.
Hey, no, don't get Evan Engram.
Go get Evan Engram.
Shout out real quick to the Lions Brawl, the other podcast I do. We're interviewing with Stefan Logan, the old Lion player. But yeah, no, we're dropping it tomorrow. No, that's why I got distracted by Matt's like hoorays he was saying over there. Go make sure you're following Lions Brawl and make sure you look out for the show with Stefan Logan tomorrow.
It really is a good show, everyone. Go follow.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing. And
plug it one more time because I think it was accidentally booing during it.
That's all right. I always love to plug my shows. Go follow the Lions Brawl.
And I would like to thank everybody in the chat for joining here. Travis, you've been the chat MVP, bringing in so many good things into the show. He says he's a big believer in guys. And he doesn't care what anybody says.
You get the finger pistols.
Guys? Come on now.
He's a big believer in guys.
Good guy. Good for you.
How can you not root for Darius Geis? You got to be rooting for him, at least.
There's a fantastic story. So there's this soccer team back home named Guys. Gais, but pronounced Guys. So it's a goalkeeper playing for the other team. And he's wondering why everybody's like, come on, guys. He's cheering for the wrong team. Because, he's like, come on, guys. But he's playing for the team not named Guys. Like, everyone's confused. What's going on? But he's from the UK and doesn't understand that it's the same pronunciation. Just that's the team name.
Leave it to Carl to end our football show on a soccer note. And everyone has logged off already. We're now just us three. Guaranteed.
Yeah, no. And I don't.
Funny if me and Nick just signed off during that.
It's a good story. We spent the first 10 minutes talking Jim Carrey movies. I think people be all right. And it's a really good video coming out this weekend on the YouTube channel with Des Bryant and his rise and fall in fantasy and his production. That's going to be a fantastic video here on the YouTube channel. And you can check out csdfantasy.com for the running back floor rankings and ceiling rankings for wide receivers as well, which have been well received. And I'm super happy about all the feedback I've been getting. I love to hear all the nice things you've been saying. Super excited to have everybody here today, Nick and Matt. Matt, do you have anything you want to plug before we let this ship ride off into the sunset?
I got nothing.
By the way, you're like...
Follow me on Twitter. My name is right here.
That's Matt.
Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
Right there. By the way, you said, Carl, you're like, we started the show with 10 minutes of Jim Carrey, so I think people will be okay with us talking about soccer. I think 120% of our watchers and viewers and listeners would easily watch any Jim Carrey movie, even I Love You, Philip Morris, over any soccer game, by the way.
What?
Just to say.
It's sports, though.
Well,
it's sports.
Now, you're right. During this pandemic, we probably all.
Does anyone watch the Ocho? They had lawnmower racing. They had some that were going 4 miles an hour. They had some that were going 90. I shit you not. And there's no suspension. So they go around corners and they're just like hitting the ground. And that was followed up by slippery stairs. And what do you think that is? Yeah, they cover stairs with like dishwashing liquid and crap like that. And then they try to run upstairs. That is a real thing.
I've seen that and I love it. I've been into Korean baseball lately. There I was. I actually don't even know if I haven't watched sports in the last like probably 3 weeks. But for a good solid couple weeks there, a few weeks back, it was Korean baseball all day, every day.
Marble Run League. Marble Run on YouTube. It's intense. It's like, it's like that NASCAR cartoon when we were kids, but with marbles.
Those are crazy. All right.
Thank you all so much for joining me here today. But signing off for the Fantasy Rabbit Hole, Nick Faber, Matt Williams, and CSD Fantasy. Till next time.
was a good show.